Have you ever noticed how some girls seem mysteriously drawn to older men? It's not just about the gray hair or deeper voice. It's about a certain aura, a vibe of emotional depth, confidence, and masculine calmness that younger guys often lack. While age brings experience, it's how older men use that experience that makes them irresistible. In this video, I'll reveal 10 deeply powerful things older men do that make girls go absolutely crazy for them. If you want to develop that same magnetic pull, stay with me till the end, because this isn't about pickup lines, it's about becoming a man of true presence. Let's dive in. Number 1. They stay calm in chaos. One of the biggest reasons girls are drawn to older men is their ability to remain calm even when everything around them is falling apart. Younger guys often panic, get defensive, or overreact in stressful situations, but older men usually carry themselves with a steady, composed presence. This calmness signals emotional maturity and life experience. It tells a woman that this man has already seen the ups and downs of life, and he doesn't get rattled easily. Whether it's an argument, a sudden problem, or an emotional breakdown, he doesn't rush to solve things in a panic. Instead, he slows things down, takes a breath, and responds with logic and control. This behavior naturally makes a girl feel emotionally safe around him. She knows that no matter how tough things get, this man won't lose his grip. That calm energy becomes attractive because it creates a sense of security. Not just physically but mentally and emotionally too. Number 2. They speak with purpose, not just words. One of the most captivating qualities of older men is how they communicate. They don't speak just to fill silence or to get attention. They speak with purpose. Every word has weight. Every sentence has intention. And that kind of presence in speech is something women notice instantly. Unlike younger guys who might ramble, overshare, or use exaggerated language to impress, an older man understands the value of silence just as much as he understands the power of words. He's not in a rush to talk, and when he does, there's something calm and composed about his delivery. He's deliberate, not impulsive. He doesn't try to dominate conversations, but when he speaks, people listen, especially women. This kind of communication creates an aura of strength. It shows he's not seeking approval, he's expressing thoughts that matter to him. And that confidence in self-expression is very attractive to women. They feel like they're in the presence of someone who knows who he is and doesn't need external validation to prove it. Also, this kind of man doesn't interrupt or talk over others. He listens first. He speaks second. And when he does speak, it's not about showing off. It's about connection, truth, and clarity. That emotional intelligence in conversation builds respect. So when a girl is talking to a man who speaks with calm, focused energy, it feels refreshing. She doesn't feel pressured. She feels heard. And she starts to trust what he says, because his words are rooted in thought, not ego. And that kind of communication leaves a lasting impression on her heart and mind. Number 3. They show subtle, confident body language. While most guys are focused on what to say, older men silently attract women through something far more powerful: their body language. They don't need loud gestures, big movements, or attention-seeking behavior to stand out. Instead, they move and exist with a calm, grounded presence that radiates quiet confidence. Everything from the way they walk to how they sit tells a story. When an older man enters a room, he doesn't need to announce himself. His posture, pace, and presence already do that. He walks with direction, not in a rush, but not aimless either. He stands tall without trying to look tough. His shoulders are relaxed, his eyes steady, his hands calm. There's no fidgeting, no nervous energy, just a deep sense of control. Girls are incredibly tuned into this. They instantly feel the contrast between a guy who is comfortable in his skin and one who's still trying to prove something. That subtle confidence becomes magnetic. It tells her, this man isn't here to chase approval. He already owns his value. Even small gestures, the way he maintains eye contact without staring, the way he gives space without withdrawing, the way he listens without slouching or crossing arms defensively, all of this signals strength. And it's not the kind of strength that's forced. It's natural, internal, and unshakable. That's why girls find themselves attracted without fully understanding why. It's because his energy speaks louder than his words. His presence isn't demanding, it's commanding. He doesn't take the spotlight. He simply becomes impossible to ignore. And in a world full of noise, that kind of calm, confident body language feels like a breath of fresh air. Number 4. They prioritize self-discipline over drama. One of the most attractive traits older men bring to the table is their ability to stay disciplined when others get emotional. They've learned through life experience that not everything requires a reaction. They don't chase chaos, and they certainly don't let emotions dictate their behavior. Instead, they live with structure, intention, and inner control. And women find that deeply magnetic. Younger guys often get pulled into unnecessary arguments, feel the need to prove themselves, or respond impulsively to situations. But an older man knows when to engage and when to stay silent. He doesn't waste time on drama because he's already learned that peace is far more powerful than attention. Discipline shows in how he manages his emotions, his daily habits, his relationships, and even his cravings. He doesn't allow temporary feelings to ruin permanent goals. He's mastered the art of saying no. Not out of stubbornness, but out of strength. And this quiet control becomes highly attractive to a woman who is looking for stability, not chaos. To her, this man becomes a symbol of order in a world that feels unstable. She knows she can lean on him emotionally, because he won't fall apart under pressure. He won't manipulate, overreact, or play games. He's focused on what matters, and that focus makes her feel safe. And beyond safety, there's admiration. A man who disciplines his mind, body, and emotions is rare. And rarity is irresistible. That's why women aren't just drawn to his appearance. They're drawn to his presence. A presence built through years of choosing growth over drama. Number 5. They give undivided attention when listening. One of the most overlooked but powerful things older men do is this. They truly listen. Not half-heartedly. Not while checking their phone. Not waiting for their turn to speak. They listen with full presence. And that, for a woman, is unforgettable. In today's world, where everyone is distracted and multitasking, a man who gives his complete attention is rare. When a woman speaks and sees that he's fully engaged, maintaining eye contact, nodding with understanding, reading her emotions between the lines, she feels something she doesn't often feel. Valued. Older men understand that listening isn't just about hearing words. It's about tuning into her tone, her pauses, her expressions, and sometimes, what she's not saying at all. He doesn't rush her, doesn't interrupt, and never tries to fix her feelings. He just listens. Genuinely. Patiently. Respectfully. And that kind of listening creates emotional intimacy. It shows maturity. It tells her, your thoughts matter. Your emotions are safe with me. And when a woman feels emotionally safe with a man, attraction blooms naturally. Not because he said something impressive, but because he made her feel understood. Younger guys often try to win women over by talking more. But older men know the real secret. Listening more. Because when she feels heard, she lowers her guard. She trusts you. And once trust is there, chemistry follows. That's why women gravitate toward older men. Because they're not just heard, they're felt. And that emotional presence is something they crave more than any compliment or flirtatious line. Number 6. They set boundaries without apologizing. Older men don't play by everyone else's rules. They live by their own code. They've spent years understanding who they are, what they believe in, and what they will and won't tolerate. And because of that, they set clear boundaries, calmly, firmly, and without apology. They don't explain themselves just to be liked. They don't compromise their values to avoid conflict. And they never fear losing someone over staying true to themselves. That kind of self-respect is rare, and women are deeply drawn to it. Why? Because boundaries signal strength. They show that the man values his time, his peace, and his standards. He's not trying to please everyone. He's protecting his energy. And that makes him feel powerful, not controlling. When a woman interacts with this kind of man, she immediately senses his emotional independence. He's not desperate to impress. He's not afraid to say no. He doesn't chase approval or adjust himself based on who he's around. That consistency creates respect. And respect is what builds real attraction. Girls may test these boundaries, not out of disrespect, but to see if he truly stands by them. And when he does, without anger or hesitation, she begins to admire him on a deeper level. Because deep down, every woman wants to be with a man who can lead himself first. This isn't about being rigid or cold. It's about knowing your worth and protecting your space. Older men have mastered this, and that's why women go crazy for them. Boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. And only the right people get through. That clarity is both masculine and magnetic. Number 7. They offer security, not just promises. When older men speak about the future, they don't speak in fantasies or vague ideas. They speak in actions. Unlike many younger men who throw around promises without follow-through, an older man understands that real security isn't about saying the right words. It's about consistently doing the right things. And this is exactly what makes women gravitate toward them. Older men don't promise to be there. They simply are. They don't talk endlessly about being dependable. They show it. Whether it's picking her up on time, being emotionally available when she's upset, or simply staying consistent with his values, he becomes someone she can truly count on. This kind of reliability builds deep emotional trust. A woman starts to let her guard down because she realizes she doesn't have to guess what he's thinking or whether he'll stick around. She knows, through his actions, that he is a stable presence in her life. It's not about being financially wealthy either. Yes, many older men have more resources, but the real wealth they bring is emotional maturity and dependability. He doesn't make her feel anxious, confused, or left in the dark. Instead, he gives her clarity. She knows where she stands with him, and that certainty is deeply attractive. For a woman who's tired of being promised the world and delivered disappointment, an older man who offers security through steady behavior feels like a gift. That emotional safety allows her to open up, connect deeply, and love without fear. In the end, she doesn't fall for the promises. She falls for the peace he brings into her life. Number 8. They handle rejection with grace. One of the most powerful differences between older men and younger ones lies in how they deal with rejection. While many younger guys take it personally, get defensive, or act out emotionally, an older man has a completely different response. He accepts it with grace, calm, and quiet dignity. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't try to change her mind. He doesn't lose his self-worth just because someone else didn't choose him. Why? Because he's already been through enough in life to know that rejection is not a loss. It's redirection. It's not the end of his value. It's just part of the journey. This emotional strength is something women instantly respect. A man who can walk away without drama, who stays composed when others pull away, is a man who doesn't depend on external approval. He doesn't need to be accepted by everyone, because he's already accepted himself. That kind of composure is deeply attractive. It shows he has emotional control, maturity, and confidence that isn't shaken by anyone's opinion. And when a woman sees this, even if she's the one who rejected him, she can't help but admire him more. Sometimes, that very grace even changes her mind. Not because he tried to convince her, but because his reaction showed her the kind of man he truly is. Rejection will always be a part of life, but older men know how to face it without losing their power. And that, in itself, makes them 10 times more desirable. Number 9. They are consistent, not confusing. In a world full of mixed signals and unpredictable behaviors, older men stand out by being something incredibly rare: consistent. They don't make a woman guess how they feel. They don't change their tone based on mood swings. And they don't play emotional games. Instead, they show up the same way, every time, calm, stable, and real. Consistency may not sound exciting at first, but it's one of the most attractive and powerful traits a man can have. Why? Because it builds trust. A woman begins to feel safe when she knows what to expect. She doesn't have to overthink his silence or decode his actions, because there's no mystery. He means what he says and proves it through behavior, not just words. Younger guys often fall into the trap of being hot and cold. One day, they're romantic and affectionate. The next, they're distant and distracted. This emotional roller coaster may create short-term excitement, but it always leads to long-term confusion and insecurity. Older men, however, understand that real connection comes through emotional steadiness. They don't disappear after a few good conversations. They don't switch up their personality just to be liked. They're consistent in their values, their energy, and their respect. and that reliability becomes incredibly attractive. For women, this kind of man feels like a rock, someone they can lean on without fear of sudden change. And that sense of safety creates emotional openness, vulnerability, and deeper attraction. Because at the end of the day, it's not the unpredictable man who wins her heart. It's the one who proves, over and over again, that he can be trusted. Number 10. They prioritize peace over ego. One of the most profound traits that older men develop over time is the ability to choose peace over ego. While younger guys often feel the need to prove themselves, win every argument, or assert dominance just to feel manly, older men realize that real strength isn't loud, it's quiet, calm, and controlled. They don't escalate drama. They don't argue just to be right. They don't let their pride destroy a connection. Instead, they focus on what truly matters: understanding, harmony, and emotional stability. When a disagreement arises, an older man doesn't shut down or explode. He listens, reflects, and communicates with clarity. He doesn't see a relationship as a battleground. He sees it as a safe space where both people can be heard without turning love into a power struggle. This maturity allows him to de-escalate tension, not add to it. He can walk away from toxic behavior without needing revenge. He can take accountability for his mistakes without feeling less of a man. And he can value emotional connection over the temporary satisfaction of being right. To women, this trait is magnetic. A man who doesn't let his ego ruin everything shows that he's emotionally intelligent, self-aware, and secure within himself. And that kind of emotional safety becomes irresistible. Especially to a woman who's tired of games, mind tricks, or unnecessary conflict. Because when you're with a man who chooses peace over ego, you don't have to worry about constant fights. You can focus on growing something real and lasting together.